Football history is not written only on the pitch. Sometimes the most dramatic, the most unbelievable, and the most impactful moments happen far away from the goalposts, in boardrooms, in late-night contract meetings, on city streets filled with fans, or even between two rival clubs who were never meant to shake hands. And the craziest part? The biggest moment in this entire list is not number one. Welcome to AI WonderThink. This is the top 10 most fascinating moments in football club history. Events that shaped the game, changed the culture, and turned football into the global phenomenon it is today. Number 10. When Coca-Cola sponsored Manchester United, 1991. The early 1990s were a turning point for football. Before this era, European football wasn't the glamorous global industry we know today. Stadiums were older, broadcasting money was limited, and clubs weren't thinking like international brands. Most sponsorships were small, local, and honestly, pretty simple. Then the world began to change. Satellite television entered the game. Corporate marketing departments realized football could reach millions of people. The Premier League was just about to be born. This was the dawn of true football commercialization. And right in the middle of that transformation, Manchester United made one of the most surprising moves of the time. They placed a giant Coca-Cola logo on their training kit. For the football world in 1991, it felt unusual, almost too global, too American. Some fans asked, why is a soft drink giant on our shirt? But this moment signaled the start of something much bigger. It showed that football clubs were no longer just sports teams. They were becoming global marketing platforms, brands that could partner with the largest companies on earth. That Coca-Cola logo wasn't just a sponsor. It was a preview of the commercial explosion that would soon reshape football forever. And if number 10 already changed the future of the sport, just wait until you see what happens next. Number 9. Lionel Messi's shock move to PSG, 2021. When Lionel Messi sat down at that press conference in Barcelona, eyes red, voice shaking, football fans around the world felt something was wrong. Behind the emotional goodbye was a situation nobody could have imagined. Barcelona, despite wanting to keep him, simply could not register Messi under La Liga's strict financial rules. The club had massive debt, a salary cap they could no longer fit under, and no way to renew Messi's contract legally. It wasn't about loyalty, it wasn't about money, it was mathematics versus regulations, and Barcelona lost. Then suddenly, Paris became the center of the football universe. The moment Messi landed, everything exploded. Thousands of fans blocked the airport just to see a glimpse of him. Streets around Parc des Princes turned into a 24/7 carnival. Local cafes started selling Messi croissants. The Eiffel Tower lit up welcoming him. PSG's store ran out of shirt letters because so many people wanted the number 30 kit. Social media growth broke every club record in history. Paris wasn't just excited, Paris was in Messi fever mode. This transfer wasn't simply a football decision. It was a cultural shockwave that affected fashion, tourism, global media, and even the city's economy. The world had never seen anything like this. And yet, what comes after number 9 somehow becomes even more surprising. Number 8. Juventus's controversial minimalist rebrand, 2017. When Juventus unveiled their new logo in 2017, a simple minimalist, futuristic J, the football world gasped, because this wasn't just any logo. Juventus had carried their classic oval crest for decades. To many fans, it wasn't just a badge. It was heritage, identity, a symbol passed across generations. So why change something so sacred? The answer, Juventus didn't want to remain only a football club. They wanted to become a global brand, a lifestyle symbol that could stand next to fashion houses, luxury labels, and tech companies. At the time, the club faced 3 realities. 1. The global football audience was shifting. Younger fans connected more with brands than crests. Minimalist logos were becoming universal. 2. Juventus wanted to expand beyond Europe. To break into the US and Asian markets, they needed a mark that was bold, simple, and instantly recognizable, even without football knowledge. 3. Merchandise was the future. A J on jackets, sneakers, coffee mugs, even perfume? It worked. The old crest didn't, so they made the boldest branding decision in modern football. Erase tradition, rewrite identity, rebuild the brand from zero. The reaction? Traditional fans were furious. Purists said the club had sold its soul. Memes spread across social media, but Juventus stayed firm. And within months, merchandise sales soared, brand partnerships expanded, and the club positioned itself as one of the most modern sports brands in the world. What seemed like heresy became a masterclass in long-term vision. And believe it or not, our next moment involves something even more unbelievable: a fierce rival saving its biggest enemy. Number 7, Bayern Munich saved Borussia Dortmund from bankruptcy. Most fans know Borussia Dortmund today as a well-run club with a clear philosophy: develop young talent, sell smart, and stay sustainable. But in the early 2000s, Dortmund experienced one of the darkest financial crises in modern football. A collapse so severe that the club was weeks away from shutting down. So how did it get this bad? Here's the context. 1. Dortmund chased success too aggressively. After winning the Champions League in 1997, Dortmund tried to maintain big club momentum by spending heavily. Expensive transfers, high wages, and long-term contracts they couldn't afford. They wanted to compete with Europe's giants, but they didn't have a giant's budget. 2. They became the first German club to go public. Dortmund thought selling shares on the stock market would bring unlimited money. Instead, stock prices dropped, investors lost confidence, and revenue predictions failed. A risky financial experiment turned into a disaster. 3. They relied on Champions League money to survive. Dortmund structured their financial planning under one assumption: they would always qualify for the Champions League. But football doesn't care about your spreadsheets. They missed qualification. Suddenly, their entire budget collapsed like a house of cards. 4. Stadium modernization costs exploded. The Westfalenstadion renovation for the 2006 World Cup cost far more than expected. Debt piled up, cash flow dried up. Dortmund was drowning. By 2004-2005, the club was technically on life support. They couldn't pay wages. Banks refused to extend loans, and bankruptcy seemed inevitable. Then came the most unexpected twist. Bayern Munich, Dortmund's biggest rival, stepped in. Bayern quietly loaned Dortmund €2 million, interest-free, no media, no ceremony, just one request: use it to survive. It was a moment that stunned Germany. A rivalry built on decades of tension suddenly paused so one club could prevent the other from disappearing. That money didn't magically fix everything. Dortmund still needed years to recover. But without that emergency lifeline, the Borussia Dortmund we know today, the Yellow Wall, the Youth Academy, Holland, Bellingham, Klopp's era, might never have existed. A rival saving its enemy? Rare, emotional, almost poetic. And somehow, the next moment in our list is even more cinematic. Number 6, Hollywood buys a football club, Wrexham and Ryan Reynolds. When the news first appeared on social media, many people thought it was a prank. A small football club from a quiet Welsh town, suddenly purchased by 2 Hollywood actors, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. It sounded like the opening scene of a comedy film. But in reality, it was the beginning of one of the most unexpected and heartwarming stories modern football has ever seen. At the time of the takeover, Wrexham wasn't a famous club. They were stuck in the 5th tier of English football, far from the glamour of the Premier League. Their stadium needed repairs, their finances were limited, and their future was uncertain. But Ryan and Rob didn't choose Wrexham because of trophies or status. They chose it because they believed the club had something that money couldn't buy: a passionate community and a story worth telling. And that's exactly what they did. Their first major move wasn't a transfer or a stadium upgrade. It was a documentary. Welcome to Wrexham became a global hit, showing the world an honest, emotional, and often hilarious journey of 2 actors trying to run a football club. The series didn't just introduce Wrexham to millions of viewers. It transformed the club into a symbol of hope and resilience. Fans around the world suddenly cared about a team they had never heard of before. People cried with the supporters, laughed with the players, and felt the heartbeat of the town with every episode. But the magic didn't stop at the cameras. Ryan Reynolds used the same marketing brilliance that made his companies viral. Wrexham's social media became a global phenomenon, sharp, funny, and impossible to ignore. Clips from training, behind-the-scenes jokes, even cheeky banter between the owners. Everything contributed to a new identity. Wrexham was no longer a forgotten lower league club. It was entertainment, culture, and football blended into one. Behind the scenes, the work was even more serious. The owners invested in stadium improvements, better training facilities, medical teams, and recruitment. They didn't just want Wrexham to be famous, they wanted it to be competitive. And in 2023, their efforts paid off. Wrexham earned promotion to League Two after 15 long years. A year later, they repeated the miracle again, securing promotion to League One. From a struggling fifth-tier team, Wrexham climbed into the professional leagues with real momentum. What began as a Hollywood headline slowly grew into something deeper. The town's economy improved. Local businesses saw new life. The stadium filled with fans from all over the world. Americans, Australians, Koreans, Canadians, people who had never even visited Wales before. It became clear that Wrexham's transformation wasn't just about football. It was about community, about storytelling, about showing that even the smallest club in the smallest town can rise when the world simply pays attention. Hollywood didn't just buy a football team, they resurrected one. And they turned Wrexham into one of the most inspiring football stories of the modern era. Number 5. The Abramovich Era, Chelsea's Financial Revolution, 2003. In the summer of 2003, English football woke up to a headline that didn't feel real. A Russian billionaire, Roman Abramovich, had purchased Chelsea Football Club for around 140 million, a number that sounded gigantic at the time. Before that moment, Chelsea was a good team, yes, but inconsistent, financially unstable, and always one big crisis away from collapse. No one could have predicted what would happen next. Abramovich didn't come into football quietly. He arrived like a force of nature, fast, decisive, and willing to spend money in a way the sport had never seen before. In his very first transfer window, he unleashed what newspapers called the Roman Revolution. He spent over 100 million on players in a single summer, an amount that shocked the entire football world. Names like Claude Makelele, Hernan Crespo, Damien Duff, Joe Cole, and many more walked into Stamford Bridge within months. Chelsea went from a team hoping to compete to a team built to dominate. And under Abramovich, that domination became reality. The club's identity shifted instantly. State-of-the-art training facilities were built. World-class managers were hired, most famously Jose Mourinho, the special one, who arrived in 2004 and immediately delivered Premier League titles. Chelsea's squad became a collection of global superstars, from Didier Drogba to Frank Lampard to Petr Cech. And all of this cost money, a lot of money. By some estimates, Abramovich invested over $1.5 billion into Chelsea throughout his ownership. Funds used for players, infrastructure, youth development, and wages. It wasn't just investment, it was transformation. Chelsea became a powerhouse. They lifted Premier League titles, FA Cups, Europa Leagues, and the club's ultimate dream, the UEFA Champions League, twice, once in 2012 and again in 2021. But like all great eras, the end came faster than anyone expected. In early 2022, the geopolitical landscape changed. Russia invaded Ukraine, and governments around the world imposed strict sanctions on Russian individuals with close ties to the Russian state. Abramovich found himself caught in the middle of this international. The UK government froze his assets, including Chelsea. He was no longer allowed to fund the club, negotiate contracts, or even enter into business using his own money. To protect Chelsea from total collapse, because without a sale, the club legally could not operate, Abramovich made a decision that stunned the football world. He announced he would sell Chelsea. Not only that, he said he would not take a single penny from the sale, and that all net proceeds would go to victims of the war. After a tense, highly public bidding process, the club was eventually sold in May 2022 to a consortium led by Todd Boehly in Clear Lake capital. The price? A staggering $425 billion. It became the most expensive sale of a sports team in modern history, from $140 million to more than $4 billion. From financial instability to global dominance. From a local London club to one of the most recognized football brands on the planet. Abramovich's time at Chelsea was filled with controversy, brilliance, ambition, and unprecedented spending. But one thing is undeniable. He changed football. Not just Chelsea, but the entire global economy of the sport. Transfers became bigger, salaries grew, expectations skyrocketed. Clubs around the world scrambled to keep up. This wasn't just an ownership era, it was a revolution, one that every football fan today still feels. Number 4, Barcelona refuses commercial sponsors and chooses UNICEF. For most football clubs, the front of the jersey is the most valuable space in the world. It's where corporations place their logos, where clubs earn tens, sometimes hundreds of millions each season. It's the heartbeat of commercial football. But for decades, Barcelona refused it. Not because nobody wanted to sponsor them. In fact, global brands lined up with checkbooks ready. Barcelona simply said no. To understand why, you have to understand what Barcelona believes in. The club is more than a team. It carries the motto, Make Young Club. More than a club, a statement born from Catalonia's political identity, its culture, and its long history of resistance. For years, the Barca shirt was sacred, a symbol of identity, not a billboard for corporations. But by the mid-2000s, football was changing fast. Television rights were exploding, super clubs were emerging, and financial demands were rising. Barcelona needed funding to compete at the highest level, to maintain La Masia, to support youth development, and to stay competitive with the likes of Real Madrid's Galacticos. The board faced a dilemma: follow the money like every other club, or find a way to stay true to the club's identity. And then came the moment that changed everything. In 2006, Barcelona announced the first ever logo to appear on their shirt. But it wasn't Coca-Cola. It wasn't Nike. It wasn't a bank or a telecommunications giant. It was UNICEF, a humanitarian organization, a charity, a symbol of hope. And here's the twist. Barcelona didn't get paid for it. Instead, they paid UNICEF around $1.5 million per year to support programs for vulnerable children around the world. This wasn't a sponsor deal, it was a statement. Barcelona was saying to the world, if we're going to break tradition, we're going to break it for something that matters. This decision shocked the football industry. Business experts called it irrational. Financial analysts called it unsustainable. But fans saw something different, a club choosing values over profit. And culturally, it worked. Barcelona's identity grew stronger than ever. Their global image soared, and the partnership with UNICEF became one of the most memorable moments in football history. Soon after, Barcelona entered one of the most successful eras the club would ever see. The rise of Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, and the greatest tiki-taka team the world had ever watched. It was as if the club's moral decision aligned with its football destiny. In a world where commercial pressure dominates everything, Barcelona reminded football that identity, values, and purpose still matter. And yet, even this extraordinary decision is not the most unbelievable moment in our countdown. The next story is about a philosophy that changed football itself. Number 3, Ajax reinvents football through youth development. In a time when most clubs tried to buy success, Ajax made a completely different choice. They decided to create it. Instead of spending huge money on transfers, Ajax invested heavily in their youth academy, a place built around Johan Cruyff's idea of total football, where every player learns to think, move, and adapt like one unified system. Kids at Ajax weren't just trained to kick a ball, they were trained to understand the game, to switch positions, control space, and play with intelligence. And from that decision came a river of world-class talent. Cruyff, Van Basten, Bergkamp, Sneijder, Eriksen, De Ligt, De Jong. Players who shaped the modern game. Clubs around the world copied Ajax's model. Barcelona's La Masia was directly inspired by it. This wasn't just about youth development. It was a football revolution, and it proved one simple truth. You don't need the biggest budget to change the world. You just need the right philosophy. Number 2, Leicester City's impossible Premier League title 2016. Before 2010, Leicester City wasn't a global club. They weren't rich, they weren't powerful, and most seasons were spent fighting for survival rather than chasing glory. Then everything changed when the club was bought by a Thai businessman, Vichai Srivadhanaprabha, owner of King Power. What he did was very simple, but incredibly rare in modern football. He brought stability, he cleared debts, he invested patiently in the stadium, the training ground, and the squad. And above all, he treated the club like a family, not a business machine. Players and staff often said Vichai wasn't just an owner. He was a presence, a calm, respectful leader who gave trust instead of pressure. He made tickets cheaper, donated millions to local hospitals, shook every fan's hand he could, and created an atmosphere where everyone felt valued. And that quiet, steady foundation led to the most unbelievable story in Premier League history. In 2016, Leicester City, a team made from overlooked players, bargain transfers, and rejected talents, defied 5,000 to 1 odds and became champions of England. It wasn't luck, it wasn't magic. It was the result of an ownership that gave stability, unity, and belief to a club that had never been given anything before. From nobody to champions, from survival to immortality. And it all started with a Thai owner who chose to dream bigger than anyone else. Number 1, the game that created VM. For decades, football lived with one dangerous truth. The referee's decision was final. Even when it was wrong. No replays, no second chances. Just hope. But everything changed because of one match. A moment so controversial that it pushed football into the age of technology. It happened at the 2010 World Cup when England faced Germany. Frank Lampard struck a shot that hit the crossbar and bounced clearly behind the goal line. Millions saw it, cameras saw it, even the German goalkeeper later admitted it. But the referee didn't. He waved play on. No goal. No review. One of the most obvious goals in World Cup history, erased. The world erupted. Fans demanded change. Experts called it embarrassing. And FIFA, an organization that had always resisted technology, finally had no choice. Within months, testing began for goal line technology. Soon after, the system expanded. Video referees, multi-angle reviews, and eventually the full system we now call VAR. Whether fans love it or hate it, VAR exists because of one decision, one moment where football realized that tradition wasn't enough to protect the truth. That single match didn't just change a scoreline. It changed the entire future of the sport. Ending, these were the 10 most fascinating moments that shaped football clubs around the world. But for every moment that changed history, there's another one that nearly destroyed it. If you want us to explore that side of football, comment part 2 and we'll dive into the top 10 worst decisions ever made by football clubs. Thanks for watching. This is AI WonderThink, where curiosity meets imagination.